Alright, let's pause this. Or not. Come on. Come on, iTunes. Work with me. Work with me. A lot of projects going on right now. Did make a video last night. Stayed up really late. Went to bed around 2:30. Just woke up here around 8:15 or so. Is that accurate? Yeah. It's 9 a.m. now. Feeling pretty good. Got my first cup of coffee in. But wanted to go over some of the things that I did. We got this little pooper in here. Still trying to sleep. So I guess we can start in another room. We'll come back to the bike room for the status of the items in there. So last night, oh man, so much stuff was done. Let's start with something that I did 2 nights ago. Let's get some light in here. That's probably not going to help much. So for the Fuji Altamira, I went ahead and zip tied the fender to what would be the rim brake mounting hole, so that this fender was tending to rest on the tire and otherwise get messed up if there was like a bunch of vibration and stuff. And so I zip tied it so that, I had to drill 2 holes here in the fender, zip tied it so that it went through the hole here, and now that's good. So that was 2 days ago. That was a project that I did after kind of coming to a dead end with the Fuji SL rebuild. And so last night for the Altamira, I switched out the handlebars. So now I have a wider bar. I think these are 44 centimeters or maybe 46. In fact, let's get a tape measure and let's measure that, because I switched them out for some bars that I had bought quite a while ago. They're more narrow and therefore arrow, but narrow bars don't necessarily feel the best, especially considering I'm not really caring much about aerodynamics these days. I'm not trying to go fast. I'm trying to go far. Trying to go far and long. We'll get a rough estimate of how long these bars are. Let's see. Yeah, so these bars are 44 centimeters, which gives me a lot more, obviously, width. So, you got more control, you have more stability, therefore, and I can also fit stuff between the bars, such as my tent, when I have in the past gone camping, which I did take this bike camping, bike packing once, and definitely having a couple other centimeters, a few more, won't hurt anything with that setup. So, moving on. Yesterday, Erica's new wheel came in for her bike. So, this is Erica's bike. It's in sort of a state of, not disarray, but it's in a state of progress. So, yeah, there's always little hiccups you find when you're trying to, retrofit. What's up, little egg? And so last night when I was trying to figure out how this new wheel, which I'll show you in a minute, it's a motorized wheel, has a motor in the hub and a really simple little button that you push, and it just makes you go. So I'm pretty excited for her to have that, but her bike comes originally with this carbon fork, and it's a quick release dropout, and so the wheel itself, which we'll go to in a second again, has a solid metal axle with a bolt-on setup. And so not only was it too wide of a diameter to fit in the dropouts for the carbon, I also don't think it would be a very good idea to clamp the carbon with the bolts of the wheel. So thankfully I have this old fork, and that's going to be the one that she uses on her bike, but I'm going to have to go to Loose Nuts to have the Crown Race transferred from this bike to that bike. Surprisingly, this bike doesn't have a Crown Race on it right now, which is kind of strange because I don't remember ever taking it off. I don't know why I would have, because the bike that fork came on, it didn't. I never switched it out with any other fork, or maybe I did. I don't know. Doesn't matter. In any case, this fork needs to be had some attention paid to it. And then this whole setup for Erica will be complete. And this is all the battery stuff for the wheel itself, all charged up. And this frame here is an old mountain bike frame that I took down last night and stripped all the components off of, because I'm not using it. And recently, with all these bikes dying, I'm sort of realizing that it's better just to have the parts freely available than have to harvest them after the fact. So I'm going to get rid of this frame. It's way too small for me anyway. Yeah, I think that's the update for all this stuff. I do want to say real quick, first of all, I haven't tested the actual angle that I put the stem at, or not the stem, but the handlebars themselves, or the actual positioning of the levers. I didn't do it blindly, but today on my ride, I'm going to be also figuring out if this setup feels good. And so there might be some changes I need to do on the fly. And also, I'm not the best at wrapping handlebar tape. This tape was a little hard to deal with as well, so that was a little bit frustrating. There's a few gaps and stuff. You can see the clamp here. I don't really care about that. I don't put my hands on the drops really ever, so as long as the hood area is covered, that's all that I really care about. I don't really care. I mean, I'm obviously more about function than I am form, and this is a passable job for me. So far, I'm digging this, and I'm excited for my ride today. It looks a little overcast today, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know if I'm going to get wet or not, but it seems like the chances are good. I'm hoping for like a 60-mile day. So, moving on to the bike room to keep going over all the projects, the statuses of them. Probably should get rid of this frame too. I don't really have a point. There's no real point to hang on to all this shit. This is like sort of a trophy area, I guess you could say, of all the shit I've broken. This is my charge plug, which the frame broke right here, completely snapped on the down tube. My old Ultegra chainring on top of that, the remnant of the Surly fork that I broke. Got an old cassette hanging out here. Yeah, I might get rid of this too. Oh, hey little hidden baby. Lol. So, I did go to Performance yesterday. I picked up a few things. On my way back, I was like, that's funny, I could do a Performance haul video. Like, my girlfriend Erica watches those sometimes where people go and buy shit and then they talk about it. So, let's do that. So, thankfully, Performance did have a complete derailleur set. So, it actually has the derailleur itself that I was, for some reason, missing. I still don't really know where that is, or if I ever even had one. But I do have a spare now, so not even a spare, but I have a primary that I can put on the Fuji SL, which is good. These are the bits and bobs of the one that I thought I had. I already had that. This is the chain off the mountain bike that I'm going to use for the SL. This is the through axle for it. Got little cable ends. I went ahead and I bought 2 each of brake and gear cabling from Performance just to have. And this stuff, I could tell when the mechanic gave it to me, it's higher quality than what I typically get. The metal braiding itself seems like, I don't know, it seems more consistent, more shiny. He said it was a Shimano cable, so not bad for $5 a piece. A little expensive, but not too bad. I'm doing a quick look-see over the room to make sure that I'm keeping up with everything that I wanted to talk about. The shoes that I wear have been painful sort of since the day that I got them on my left little toe. And so I've started to kind of clamp them in that area at night just to apply a little bit of compressing force to the shoe to try to make them wider in that area. And that seems to be helping, so I've got my clamps here. I've got a sleepy little baby right here. So this is where the mountain bike used to be. Definitely not missing it. The tires fit pretty nicely on my drum set that the mountain bike was holding. It was really just there to hold tires, so I don't mind having that gone. Got the back wheel for the SL. The SL here in its state of disrepair. I did manage to get the chainring on, which fit. It does have a 110 BCD, which is good. And then I've got the Dior derailleur there, ready to be installed. And I had put a barrel adjuster here so that I could have a little bit more adjustability for the derailleur, but the angle that the derailleur makes when the cable comes out of the frame and then loops back around to go into the derailleur itself is not good looking. So I think I'm gonna have to probably just put, and this makes more sense anyway, put two barrel adjusters up here at the front. There's already a barrel adjuster for each gear and brake, so I'm just gonna have two inline barrel adjusters for the gear. So that brings us to, I guess, Erica's wheel. But before we talk about that, I do want to check the closet real quick. So there's the handlebars. So I do have sort of a semi-complete Dior group set right now, minus the rear derailleur. That's going to go on the SL. We got the Dior crank. Tons of other stuff. The bottom bracket from the mountain bike, the front derailleur. The mountain bike was pretty well stripped. It didn't have the wheels on it at the time either, so I do have like a complete set of 26 inch wheels, which I guess can go on any of my disc brake bikes. So if I wanted to go super wide on my cross bike, I could throw those 26 inch wheels on there and go, I guess, I don't know, 2.3 inches maybe. Doesn't matter. In any case, these are Erica's wheels, her new one here. And that's her old non-motorized one. So this thing is pretty heavy and pretty hefty. I was playing with it a bit last night just to get an idea of like what it feels like when it turns on, and it definitely has some go to it. I'm excited to get this going for her. A pretty simple setup. It's just a matter of getting that fork that can hold on to it, and then installing it. Sort of is a super. I mean, everything's going to be just zip tied on. You know, this plugs into the battery, and once that's plugged in, there's just a really, really simple remote, simple little button, and it just spins you along. Pretty powerful. You know, I took it slowly last night because it is directional. It only spins in one way, and so like when you have it inside your fork, it spins. This circle is the one that spins, and this stuff here stays stationary. So you wanted to, or I wanted to be careful that I didn't like rip this cable off, or otherwise give it too much undue stress. But it definitely has some get up to it, and I think this model is like the 250 milliwatt hour, or milliwatt? Probably not milliwatts, but 200 amp hours or something like that. And it's supposed to have a 10-mile range, which is more than enough for Erica, because she doesn't work that far from the house. So hopefully she'll be able to use this to get up some of the hills around here on her way to work, and just overall have a reason to take the bike instead of taking the truck. So I do believe that's a complete update of all the projects. I still want to finish that SL this weekend. I'd like to have that rideable, preferably by the end of tonight. This weekend, Charlie, this motherfucker, licking the toilet. Don't lick the toilet. Look at that face. He knows. He knows that he shouldn't do it. He's not even allowed in this room. If your mom was home, she would beat you. Hey, don't lick that toilet. Don't look at it. Don't even, I mean, turn around. Hey, stop licking the toilet. he wants some breakfast, and I guess he's resorting to licking the toilet. It's so disgusting. Anyway, this is Erica's birthday weekend, so there's a bunch of family meals that we have to go to and stuff, and so I feel like my time is a bit compressed. Otherwise, all my stuff, all my little projects would probably be a lot closer to completion, but I feel like I have to prioritize what I want to do, and for now, the priority for today before 7 p.m. is to try to go for my daily ride, about 60 miles or so. I'm kind of aiming for Lilburn, generally speaking, and definitely trying to get to 50% of ITP point, or 50% completion today of the ITP project. So if I could do that, bike to Lilburn, get a cup of coffee, bike back here, take these forks and frame to Loose Nuts and get them taken care of, so that later tonight I can come home after we do the dinner thing and put all this together so Erica actually has this bike to go if she wants tomorrow, which I doubt she would take the bike because she has an early shift tomorrow and she probably doesn't want to be biking at 5 in the morning. But to have the option for that by the end of the weekend is what I'm aiming for, and there's no reason, barring tragedy, that all these things shouldn't be complete by that time. And so once that is done, which I'm sure I'll run into a million roadblocks before that, because I'm really not sure about how this derailleur is going to function. I mean, logically speaking, in terms of just functionality, the shifter is the important thing. The shifter is going to be the thing that is indexed and pulls a certain amount of cable with each shift so that the derailleur moves. The derailleur is a slave to the shifter's, amount of cable pulled. And so there's no reason in my mind, since this is a 10-speed derailleur, and this is the cassette actually that came with that Dior group. So obviously this derailleur is made to fit that cassette and that spacing. So logically in my mind, there's no reason why this derailleur shouldn't work as a 1x derailleur for a road bike. And it's great too because it has, like I said in the previous video, it has the clutch on it, so I can really make sure that that chain stays on that ring. And the the 1136 spread with a 42 chainring in the front, I think that's going to give me probably the lowest ratio of gears that I've had on this bike. And I'm a huge fan of low gears, especially with these all of ITP rides, because some of these hills are just crazy. And so, in fact, I want to verify that it is 42 teeth on that chainring. Let's see. Yeah, so this is it's going to spin because of the weight of the pedals. So, hard to see. 42 tooth. So, my lowest gear will be 4236. Which, let's do some math. Let's see just how low that is compared to what my previous lowest gear was, which was 34, 36. So my lowest gear now is going to be 42, 36, which is a gear ratio of 1.1, and then previous to that, this is obviously going to be a lot lower. It's going to be less than 1 for sure. So, yeah, those numbers don't mean much to me, but it's not, 0.9, and then the other one's like 0.11 or something like that, 42. 0.11, 0.9. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. That's certainly manageable. What do artificial sweeteners do to your body? I'm excited to see this because I avoid them for the most part, artificial sweeteners, but I do occasionally eat gum that has aspartame in it, and I certainly don't like doing that, but sometimes I feel like I need to get some shit out of my teeth. Anyway, my dogs want to eat. They're both getting a little rowdy, so I'm going to leave it there. Might make a video later tonight, if depending on my project status and if there's much to report. In the meantime, it's time to feed these idiots. You guys hungry? Are you guys hungry? Want something to eat?